Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's top stories. Governor Gavin Newsom declined to endorse the cash payments for reparations, which could amount to billions. He said that dealing with the legacy of slavery is about much more than cash payments. Instead, the governor just granted $1 million to step up the security at abortion and reproductive health facilities in the state. Opponents believe the money could have been better spent, citing the state's budget deficit. And California will pay $24 million to the family of a man who died in police custody 3 years ago after screaming, "I can't breathe." His death happened 2 months before George Floyd's death. California's Reparations Task Force recently proposed spending up to $1 million for each qualified Black resident. California's governor responded but didn't say whether or not he would support it.
California Governor Gavin Newsom has said that reconciling with descendants of slaves in the United States is about more than cash payments. Now, this comes after a reparations task force that he established in 2020 recommended to create a claims office. The claims office would compensate up to $1.2 million to each Black resident. The governor told KCRA on Tuesday that, quote, "Dealing with legacy is about much more than cash payments, and that many of the task force's recommendations are critical items that his office is already addressing, such as breaking down barriers to vote, addressing hate, reforming justice and law enforcement, and strengthening economic mobility." And Newsom said, quote, "all while investing billions to root out disparities and improve equity." Newsom added he will continue to work on advancing systemic changes to ensure an inclusive and equitable California. The task force's proposal could cost billions of dollars, which include estimates for healthcare disparities, housing discrimination, incarceration, and policing.
I probably think it's unfair, probably. It's like taxpayer money, I would assume, right?
Our society is very much so white values based, so that I really feel people of different color, different backgrounds might have an impediment to growth. So whether giving money, just simply giving money to a population is going to help that money, that population to do better, I'm not quite sure.
And I think money shouldn't be involved whatsoever. Maybe like more over like land or something.
But I think making some more basic institutional changes to allow people to grow, to get the education, and once they have gotten the education, where they go with it, is more important.
NTD reached out to the governor's office for comment, but did not hear back by deadline. Now, these recommendations will be presented at the task force's next meeting before being heard by the legislature. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
The governor recently provided funding for abortion facilities to have better security, but opponents say the money could have gone elsewhere since the state is facing a deficit. Governor Gavin Newsom awarded nearly $8 million in grants on Monday to advance security at 21 abortion and reproductive health facilities. In a statement, Newsom said, "As attacks on reproductive health care continue, we are providing resources to help ensure patients and providers feel safe and secure while accessing or providing critical reproductive health care." The funding would create incentives for people out of state to travel to California for abortions and attempt to remove state contracts from pharmacies for removing abortion pill access in states that outlaw the pills. Opponents argue that the money could have gone elsewhere, citing the state is facing a $22.5 billion budget deficit. As the budget deadline approaches, more budgetary concerns and grants are expected to come up in the coming weeks. The state has been ordered to pay a family millions of dollars after a man died in police custody 3 years ago. Just a warning, parts of the video can be disturbing to some viewers.
On Tuesday, lawyers said California will pay a $24 million civil rights settlement to the family of a man who died in police custody after screaming, "I can't breathe."
I can't breathe!
Multiple officers restrained him while trying to take a blood sample. 7 California Highway Patrol officers and a nurse were charged with involuntary manslaughter earlier this year in connection with the 2020 death of Edward Bronstein. The 38-year-old was taken into custody following a traffic stop on suspicion of driving under the influence on March 31, 2020. He died at a highway patrol station in Altadena, north of downtown Los Angeles. The incident happened less than 2 months before George Floyd died from a police chokehold in Minnesota. The Los Angeles County coroner said Bronstein's death was caused by, quote, acute methamphetamine intoxication during restraint by law enforcement. The report lists Bronstein's race as white. Attorneys for Bronstein's young children said it's the largest civil rights settlement of its kind by the state of California. It's the second largest nationally since the city of Minneapolis paid $27 million in the George Floyd case. The officers, who were put on administrative leave in March, each face 1 count of involuntary manslaughter and 1 felony count of assault under the color of authority. If convicted, they would get up to 4 years in prison. The registered nurse was also charged with involuntary manslaughter. In September 2021, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law barring police from using certain face-down holds that have led to multiple unintended deaths. The bill was aimed at expanding California's chokehold ban in the wake of Floyd's death.
After a 2.5-month absence due to a case of shingles, California Senator Dianne Feinstein returned to the Senate on Wednesday in a wheelchair, looking noticeably thinner and frail. She missed the Senate's first votes on Wednesday morning but arrived outside the Capitol in a car for an afternoon vote. In a statement, Feinstein says she was continuing to recover from side effects and will work a reduced schedule. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Oakland filed for bankruptcy Monday due to hundreds of new child sex abuse claims, becoming the second diocese in California to do so. The San Francisco Bay Area Diocese faces more than 330 lawsuits brought under a California law allowing claims that would have otherwise expired. According to Bishop Michael C. Barber, most of the cases allege abuse that dates back to the 1980s and earlier, and by priests who are no longer active in ministry or deceased. He said a Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization would ensure, quote, a fair and equitable outcome for survivors and allow the church to continue its work. In March, the Diocese of Santa Rosa became the first in California to file for Chapter 11 protection, saying that it could not pay out potential claims topping 200. The Oakland Diocese serves about 550,000 Catholics in the East Bay region. T-Mobile becomes the latest retailer to leave San Francisco's downtown area. The city is suffering a crime and drug epidemic that has chased away many big businesses from the area. The phone company's flagship store in San Francisco's Union Square has been permanently closed as havoc continues in the once prominent business district. T-Mobile told SF Gate its reasons for leaving were a change in retail strategy. The 2-story upscale location broke local price records when it was first sold to T-Mobile in 2013 for $50 million. The shuttered property now joins other vacant commercial buildings in the city. Businesses throughout San Francisco have experienced repeated smash-and-grab robberies in recent years, especially since the onset of the pandemic. The plague of shoplifters has caused the city businesses millions of dollars in losses. We'll take a short break now, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. Migrants continue to flock to the U.S. Mexico border ahead of the end of Title 42, hoping to beat Thursday's deadline and tougher immigration enforcement. Changes could bar re-entry for years. With the amount of rain we received this year, experts say that the spring allergy season is among the worst ever in California. NTD spoke with a family nurse practitioner to learn about some natural remedies you can apply to reduce your sniffles. And one California location is named among the most beautiful places in the world. We'll find out where it is. Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, David Zhang. Near San Diego this week, hundreds of migrants were waiting at the U.S. border fences. Customs and Border Protection appear to struggle to process the individuals.
Hundreds of migrants are found stranded on the U.S. Mexico border near San Diego and Tijuana this week. They crossed the first border only to wait at a second one. Volunteers like Adriana Hasso pass food and supplies to the migrants.
There is a high level of uncertainty and some anxiety from the migrants waiting. We have met people who've been waiting here for 4 nights. At night it gets very cold. In the morning it gets very cold. We have situations of moms with babies from 8 months to 7 months. We have young boys who are 10 years old, 8 years old.
They are awaiting the end of a 3-year-long COVID-19 policy that prevented people from crossing seeking asylum.
We probably, end of last week, we had a number of about 120 to 125 people. And what we see now is it could be close to the 400, 500 number.
The policy, known as Title 42, is set to expire at midnight on May 11th. It prompted a rush of migrants to the border waiting to cross into the U.S., hoping to get ahead of the potential rush in asylum applications. The United States has insisted the end of Title 42 does not mean borders will be open. The White House press secretary said President Biden spoke with the Mexican president about the situation.
What you can expect from us is that we're going to do everything that we can and use every available tool to us, as we have been, to deal with this issue in a humane way, manage it humanely. And that's what we've been very clear about. Our focus as it relates to managing the border is we're going to do this through enforcement, deterrence, and diplomacy. And that's what you have seen. And we've been working with our regional partners, and we have just few tools that are available to the president.
The Biden administration and Texas state government are sending reinforcements in case of a possible increase in illegal immigration. The Republican-controlled House of Representatives plans to pass border security measures that would toughen constraints on immigrant asylum seekers, resume construction of a wall with Mexico, and expand federal law enforcement.
Has pollen got you down this spring? If you think more people are sneezing this year, you are not alone. Reports are noting allergy season hitting earlier and harder this year, affecting even those who don't normally suffer from them. NTD hears from Christine Callender, a family nurse practitioner with the Pure Health Texas, to learn some natural remedies to fight off those sniffles.
Christine Callender, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on this morning. I'm glad to be able to join you.
Allergies are really impacting a lot of people. There's a recent survey out that says 31% of respondents would rather take a pay cut than have allergies. And on average, many people miss about 4 to 5 events each year. So given those stakes, what can people do to kind of remedy this?
So, anything I'm going to say today is just for educational purposes, because I'm not developing that patient bond with you, patient and provider. So it's just more for information's sake. But there's a lot of things that we can do naturally to kind of help combat our allergies. I know I get a question a lot of the time about is local honey really a thing? If I ingest local honey on a daily basis, is this something that will really benefit me? And actually it will. So getting local honey that is not just bottled locally, but is actually sourced locally can be very beneficial. The key is you need to really start ingesting it 2 to 3 months before allergy season starts. So now that we're in the throes of things, it may help some, but it's not going to help as much as if you had started ingesting it back in December or January. And it's little micro doses through the day. So they say about a tablespoon of honey total in 24 hours is about what we need to have that be an effective treatment, because it's kind of like allergy shots where those bees are picking up a lot of the little pollens from the local plants, and then they're giving that to you through the honey.
Christine, you mentioned how a lot of this is kind of early prep. So what else can people do ahead of the allergy season to really almost protect themselves? Or does this have a lot to do with genetics in each person?
Everybody is a little different, and our genetics are what we refer to as genomics. So the little SNPs or little polymorphisms that we all have in our DNA that don't make big differences, but make small, minute differences in how we function, how our body tolerates histamines, how we react to histamines. All of those things do come into play. But in general, there's things that we can all do that will help reduce a lot of our symptoms. And a lot of it is stuff that we need to be doing anyway. So cleaning up our diet so that we're eating more antioxidants, really eating the rainbow so that we're getting all the different colors of fruits and vegetables, because each of those colors actually have a purpose. So most of those have different vitamin and mineral contents in them. And that's why eating the rainbow is so important, so that we're getting all of those micronutrients into our diet. Eating foods that are rich in quercetin, which is not a natural antihistamine, is beneficial as well. I'm not a huge fan of raw onions, but they are actually one of the best sources of natural quercetin. But I love apples, and I'll eat an apple with its skin on all day long, and that's another great source of quercetin. So eating your apple a day keeps the doctor away isn't necessarily too far from the truth, because it does really help during cold and flu season, along with allergy season, because of the rich quercetin content in that. Red grapes are also good. Your green leafies like kale and spinach are also great sources of quercetin. Cherries are another one that's pretty tasty this time of year. So those are all things that we can add to our diet that can help. But there's also foods we can take out of our diet that will help, because there's foods that actually are high histamine foods. So even eating leftovers, which I love to do at my house, I love to cook dinner and then have leftovers for lunch the next day. But those leftovers typically have a higher histamine content than food that's prepared fresh. Other foods that are high in histamines would be like dairy and eggs. So if you notice that, after I had a great, breakfast out on the weekend and had a wonderful omelet with all these veggies in it, the next day my nose is a little bit more runny, it might be because of the histamine content of that food.
Christine Callender, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a blessed day.
From its Golden Coast to Sierra Nevada mountain range, redwood forests to Mojave Desert, California is home to many natural wonders. And one iconic spot along the coast is among the list of most beautiful places around the world. Let's take a look.
Big Sur was recently named one of the world's most beautiful places by travel magazine Travel and Leisure. A nearly 90-mile rugged stretch in the Santa Lucia Mountains along the central coast, Big Sur is known for its breathtaking scenery, layered with mountains, forest, and the Pacific Ocean. According to the Visit California website, visitors are drawn to the area for the beautiful beaches, state parks, and the wildlife, such as California condors, migrating whales, or sea otters. Big Sur is the only California destination that made it to the magazine's list of 55 places. The list also named 7 other stateside destinations as the most beautiful in the world, including the Grand Canyon in Arizona, Maine's Acadia National Park, Utah's Zion National Park, the Napali Coast State Wilderness Park in Hawaii, Blue Ridge Parkway, which spans North Carolina and Virginia, Oregon's Crater Lake, and of course the Great Smoky Mountains that span North Carolina and Tennessee. Other top-rated places include the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, Cat Islands in the Bahamas, and Machu Picchu in Peru.
Now let's check in with NTD's Carlos Reyes for our sports roundup, where the San Jose Earthquakes snapped Los Angeles Football Club's unbeaten streak.
This is your California Sports Roundup, and I'm Carlos Reyes. The San Jose Earthquakes defeated the defending MLS Cup champions LAFC 2-1 on Saturday afternoon at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. This result sees the Quakes extend their home unbeaten streak to 6 games and gives Los Angeles FC their first loss of the 2023 season, snapping their 10-match unbeaten streak. Saturday's game at Levi's Stadium was attended by over 45,000 fans. The Quakes opened the scoring early with a strike from Cristian Espinosa in the 8th minute. Jeremy Ebobisse passed a ball just outside the box to Jamiro Monteiro, who sent a pass through 2 LAFC defenders to Cristian Espinosa for the low strike past goalkeeper John McCarthy and into his net. LAFC later leveled the scoring with a goal from Dennis Bouanga in the 30th minute. San Jose eventually found the game-winning goal via penalty by Cristian Espinosa in the 83rd minute for his second goal of the night. Ebobisse earned the penalty kick by getting tripped in the box. Man of the match winner, Cristian Espinosa, had this to say about last Saturday's turnout.
Obviously, it was very special to see all the fans here. I think there was more than 40,000, so that is something very special to feel from inside the field all those support. And we are very grateful to them. And we respond inside the field, and we can give them a victory to celebrate.
The Earthquakes will now prepare for another rivalry matchup against the LA Galaxy in Carson, California on Sunday, May 14. The Los Angeles Lakers look to clinch the series over the Golden State Warriors in Game 5 of the Western Conference second round. The Lakers defeated the Warriors 104-101 in their last matchup. LeBron James led the Lakers with 27 points, while guard Stephen Curry put an impressive performance with 31 points for the Warriors. The Warriors have gone 30-22 against Western Conference teams. Golden State is the top team in the Western Conference with 29.8 assists per game, led by Draymond Green averaging 6.8. The Lakers are 27-25 in conference games. Los Angeles is 6th in the league with 45.7 rebounds per game. Anthony Davis leads the Lakers with an impressive 12.5. The Lakers will seek to accomplish a difficult task and end the Warriors' final hopes at their home turf this Wednesday. That is it for today's Sports Roundup. Thank you for watching. I'm Carlos Reyes.
Thanks, Carlos, and that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.